R&B diva, Dawn Robinson is up next. Let's go. Thank you for tuning in for another video over here. I am your host, your R&B historian, Peppy. And I want to say once again, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in over here. And let's just dive right into it. I'm doing some things differently over here and changing up a few things. And I want to dive right into my I want to dive into my R&B divas. That's right, my book club. Divas with Books. That's right. I want to talk to you guys very quickly about some of the books that I have been reading, that I am still trying to figure out how I want to do this. But anywho, we have the Faith Evans, Keep the Faith, Gladys Knight, Between Each Line of Pain and Glory, David Nathan, The Soulful Diva, and Joyce Cinderella Irby's I Still Say Yes. That is correct. Okay. And as you can see, these books are actually behind me. Faith Evans, Keep the Faith. David Nathan, Soulful Divas. Gladys Knight, Between Each Line of Pain and Glory. An autographed picture of Joyce Cinderella Irby is back there in her book, I Still Say Yes. All right. And anywho, as I said before, I just want to personally say I have enjoyed reading these books. I am not affiliated with these divas at all. This is not a paid promotion. It's just another way for me to get to know my R&B divas. All right. And I have not purchased a book this month for my Divas with Book Club. I think I have a book in mind, but I haven't because, as you guys already know, I kind of slowed that down, but not intentionally. It just get busy and hectic sometimes. And baby, I'm here to tell you, my brother be working. He does. Got to get my money too. And YouTube is not my source of income. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. I enjoy what I do, And speaking of enjoying what I do, I think this is a perfect time for me to just kind of, give you an idea of probably what's going on with me on this end. I tell you, have you ever just been riding around in your city or your town or your community, and all of a sudden you look up and you realize, what are they doing over there? You see that they done cut down some trees and they done, it looks like, they're building something over there. And there's a talk in the town. And everybody's wondering, like, what's going on over there? Oh, I hear such and such. I hear it's going to be this, and I hear it's going to be that. And, but you don't know. People are talking and they're speculating, but they don't know what's really going on. They just know something is being built. And then all of a sudden, you turn around and you see all the trucks, and you see men and women, because women can work big construction. There are some construction women as well, right? So you see them in there, and they're cutting down trees. And as I said, they're smoothing out the foundation. You're seeing all kinds of trucks and all kinds of things. You don't see anything built, but the land is being cleared, And so that's how I feel like it's going on over here. And then all of a sudden you see a sign posted, but the sign is not the sign of the business that's coming. The sign is the person or the company that's doing the construction. It's the construction business, right? And then all of a sudden you turn around and you look maybe a month or two later and you look and you say, wait a minute, hold on. They done put down, the concrete slab, It's like, hey, they really building something over there. And then you see the concrete slab, and then all of a sudden you see things started posting and building up. And then all of a sudden you see a sign. And then you see the sign, it says coming soon. It's this particular, project. It could be a community that's being built, or a restaurant or a bank or whatever it is. It could be any one of those things. And so all of a sudden now you see, oh, it's a bank. Oh, it's a restaurant. Oh, it's a community. They're building a new, community, you know? And so that's how I feel about me. So I'm just in the laying of the foundation, the building stage. And I want to personally say thank you to my subscribers. I want to say thank you to my returning viewers and to you new viewers, baby. I'm over here building. Don't stop the building, all right? Don't stop the building. No matter what anybody says, you know what? Just continue. Because you know what word on the street is? They're noticing it and they see that people are talking about it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So just be patient, my loves. All right. And so on that note, Divas with Books, I want to also introduce you to another segment of my show that I will be doing as well. And it is called Ooh, and I Like It, baby. All right. And if you already know what that lyric is, then you should already know it is the barge. Ooh, and I like it. That's right. And so what I want to do now is I want to introduce you guys to some things that I like personally, okay? This is not paid promotion, but I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of feel of who I am and what I am about. All right? Over here on this show. And for those of you who probably don't know, you probably don't, but I majored in history, minored in English. Please don't ask me why I minored in English when I was majoring in history. Don't ask me that, but I had all these English classes under me. And, I went to my, my, what do you call it? My advisor. And my advisor was like, you have all these English classes right now. So why don't you just go ahead on and take 2 or 3 more English classes and you have satisfied your minor requirement. I was like, really? I was like, okay, let me get this out the way and go ahead on and focus on history. All right. Now, see, I'm letting you know a little bit more about myself. See, on word on the street is I was about to be the next Eric Michael Dyson or Cornel West. I promise you I was. I was going to be a militant midget, baby, like Michael Evans on Good Times, because I majored where my area of concentration was African American literature and minority studies, all right, in the civil rights era. That was my concentration. And I just wanted to go to Howard University. I did. I wanted to just be up in that Howard University after seeing all of the names of the people who went through Howard University. And at that time, watching BET and realize, I'm like, oh, these people went to Howard too? I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I wanted to do. But my mother, she did not want me to go to Howard University because she knew that I was like pro-black, like, fight the power. I really was, And so my mom was like, oh, Lord, my baby going to go up there. And then she said, you're going to get the beat started. So anyway, so I remember that day. I tell you about the day that my decisions was changed. Let's just say my mother had a talk with the Lord. All right, so I ended up going to another school. I might tell you about what happened that day. But anyway, so this part of what I want to do is I want to introduce you or to talk to you guys about my love for music as well as reading books. That's right. I'm going to show you my book collection as well. I have just probably as many books as I do music. And I was thinking, I went over there to all the books that I have, and I was like, which book do I want to introduce to you first? It's like, which one? And then something says, see, Peppy, that's your problem. You think too much. Grab a book and just bring it over here and talk about it. Who cares? We want to know what you're reading. So anyway, so I grabbed the book, and here it is. Their Eyes Were Watching God. That's right. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Oh my gosh, wonderful book. Speechless. That's all I have to say. I don't want to go into too much detail about it other than this is the book. I like this book. And speaking of Their Eyes Was Watching God, is a 1937 novel by American writer Zora Neale Hurston. It is considered a classic of the Harlem Renaissance. That's right. Okay, a classic of the Harlem Renaissance. And Hurston's best known work. The novel explores protagonist Janie Crawford's ripening from a vibrant but voiceless teenage girl into a woman with her finger on the trigger of her own destiny. Set in central and southern Florida in the early 20th century, the novel was initially poorly received. Yes, it was. Since the late 20th century, however, it has been regarded as influential to both African American literature and women's literature. Time included the novel in its 2005 list of 100 best English language novels published since 1923. That's right. This book was not well received. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, now I got to go back into education side of me. The reason why this book was not well received was due to the fact that during the Harlem Renaissance, African American men and women at the time felt like, Zornia, we don't have time to be reading this. We have too much going on in our communities, in our individual lives as brown and black skinned people. And you want to talk to us about, you want us to read this? I think not. So that was the reason why it really wasn't well received. People just felt like Zora Neale Hurston should have been using her voice for the people. All right. Great book. As a matter of fact, this book was turned into a movie. I forget when it was turned into a movie, but it was by Halle Berry played the lead character in the movie. Great movie, by the way. Great book as well. So anyway, that's my segment of Ooh, and I Like It. Now we're going into another segment, Back Down Memory Lane. I know, just hold your horses. We're about to get to that Dawn Robinson. I promise you we are. So let's go back down memory lane. And I was saying, like, what can I talk about? You know, as far as back down memory lane is concerned, what can I talk about? And then I thought about it. I said, Dawn Robinson in Vogue, acapella. That's right. So I want to talk to you guys briefly, real quick, regarding acapella, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead on and get this out the way real quickly, okay? So when it comes to a cappella music, we're going to talk about, I guess, kind of like its origin in a roundabout sort of way, how a cappella music came about, especially in America. So in July 1943, as a result of the American Federation of Musicians boycott of U.S. recording studios, the a cappella group, vocal group, the Song Spinners, had a bestseller with Come On In on a Wink and a Prayer. In the 1950s, several recording groups, notably the Hollows and the Four Freshmen, introduced complex jazz harmonies to a cappella performances. The King Singers are credited with promoting interest in small group a cappella performances in the 1960s. Frank Zappa loved doo-wop and a cappella. So Zappa released the Persuasion's first album from his label in 1970. Judy Collins recorded Amazing Grace a cappella. And in 1983, an a cappella group known as the Flying Pickets had a Christmas #1 in the UK with the cover of Yazoo's, known in the US as Yaz, Only You. A cappella music attained renewed prominence from the late 1980s onward, spurred by the success of top 40 recording artists, such as the Manhattan Transfer, Bobby McFerrin. He was really big at the time, and he's the guy who also did the opening song for for a season of The Cosby Show, Bobby McFerrin. Love the guy. Huey Lewis and the News, other groups at that time after In Vogue, such as All for One, the Backstreet Boys, Boys to Men, and so on and so forth. All right. And so there you have it. You have back down memory lane. All right, let's hop right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about R&B Diva. I know you guys have been patiently waiting to get into the segment of R&B Diva, Dawn Robinson, and I am going to talk about Dawn Robinson. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to go ahead on and introduce you again to what I do over here so that you won't be lost. And I'm sorry, you guys, I guess I'm trying to get kind of situated over here, and it seems like it's not happening. So just bear with me for a second. Look like some things that moved out of place, and I'm trying to get them back into place, and I'm sorry. All right. Oh, gosh. All right. It is what it is. Hey, we're recording. I've been putting this off for quite some time, at least about 4 or 5 months, as far as discussing Dawn Robinson. I've discussed En Vogue a lot over here. And I think at this moment in time, as it relates to me and how I feel about En Vogue, I would like to say that I am I'm growing. I'm maturing, in this En Vogue saga. And what do I mean by that? I'm an En Voguer. I'm a fan. Like it doesn't matter. It gets no better to me than En Vogue. It would be probably like people who like the Supremes, right? That generation. I don't think that I wouldn't expect people of the Supreme era, right, to be fans of En Vogue the way I'm a fan of En Vogue. I don't expect people of a certain age who are, fans of Destiny Childs to be a fan of En Vogue. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just that, hey, it's what I like. I'm okay with that. And I know we've gone through the back and forth about the changing members of En Vogue, how En Vogue is right now versus how they were back then, all of the changes going on onward and so forth. But because I have discussed Dawn Robinson, it's not Dawn Robinson, but because I've discussed Terry Ellis's album, and I've also discussed Maxine's single, I think that it's safe to go ahead on and kind of wrap it all up, if you will, and talk about Dawn Robinson's album. All right. And I think I'm also going to listen to Rona Bennett's album as well, because she's an En Voguer. Interesting. That is the first time I went in this video. But anyway, so that's what I want to do, and I want to tell you guys. So how do I do my R&B divas? It's no secret, okay? I think I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I just go in and I listen to my albums again, or I go and find the album and I listen to it. I'm not looking for anything else. I'm not focusing on anything else but two things. That would be my experience hearing the music the first time, when I've heard it the first time, and what was going on in my life and what was going on around me at the time. Number two, I'm listening to the music and getting the feel of the music. And I'm like, oh, okay, I think I hear a little bit of this. I think I hear a little bit of that. As far as other R&B divas are concerned, or things that was going on at the time, and maybe right now, and comparing and contrasting the two. That's what I do. I stay in my lane. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's pretty much it from there. I don't necessarily get into the who drop kicked who in these R&B streets or in these entertainment streets, unless it has something to do with the album, right? And what was, coming across through the album. So yeah, so that's when I dish out the dirt on who drop kicked who in these entertainment streets, because at that moment in time, it might be relevant to what I'm talking about. But just to talk about somebody's gossip, just to talk about their gossip, I don't do it. I have gotten that stuff out of my life, as far as, just trying to, be centered, mind, body, soul, and spirit. I don't have time for somebody else when I'm trying to clean up my stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where I'm going with all of this, to let you know what's going on. So it's definitely Peppy's point of view. It definitely is. All right. So having said all of that, let's get back into it, shall we? Born in New London, Connecticut. That's right. And we're talking about R&B diva Dawn Robinson. Let's put her back up. Sorry, y'all. I didn't know she wasn't up. All right. Uh, Born in New London, Connecticut, Robinson was the oldest of three children born to John Robinson and Barbara Alexander. During her childhood, Robinson sang in the choir at AME Zion Church in Connecticut. Shortly thereafter, Robinson began recording music in the studio, traveling from New London to Massachusetts. During a Stephanie Mills concert, Robinson's mother was able to get the band to listen to a tape of Robinson. The band advised Robinson's mother to send her to California. In 1980, Robinson, age 13, relocated to California, where she lived with an older cousin. Robinson's mother and sister later joined them in California, settling in the city of Oakland in 1981. Okay. As we all know, Dawn Robinson is an original member of the group En Vogue, one of the world's best-selling girl groups of all time. After she departed from En Vogue, she later became a member of Lucy Pearl, and they spun the hit single Dance Tonight and Don't Mess With My Man. If I'm not mistaken, that album did go gold. Dance Tonight was on the Love and Basketball, was the song on the Love and Basketball soundtrack with Shania Latham and what is that boy name? Shania Latham, man. I can't think of that child's name. I'm sorry, young man. I can't think of his name right now, and I got the movie over here. And in 2002, Robinson released her solo album, Dawn, which produced the single Envious. And in 2005, Robinson again joined En Vogue to tour, but departed from the group before they could record another album. Then in 2009, Robinson came back into the group for their 20th anniversary. And then in 2010, she left again because, she felt like, there was poor management and so on and so forth. And she decided to leave. Eventually, Dawn Robinson would become an R&B diva. On the episode of R&B Divas Los Angeles, she was there for the first season. And then throughout her career, Dawn Robinson has appeared in movies, so on and so forth. Like, oh gosh, like what was that name of that movie that she played in with? I'm sorry, I think it's the sunglasses that gives me my brain fart. I really do. What is the name of the movie with Eddie Murphy? Oh my gosh, I can't think of the movie. See, you get all the way up here, and then all of a sudden something kind of goes wrong, and you're like, what life? That's it. Good gracious. Come on. I don't know why. I just drew a blank. But anyway, so Dawn Robinson has won or been nominated for 2 American Music Awards, a Billboard Music Awards, 7 MTV Video Music Awards, 4 Soul Train Music Awards, and 8 Grammy nominations. Oh my gosh, man, that says a lot. So, Dawn Robinson, let's talk. I think I want to get right into it. We're going to take the sunglasses off because I feel like I got to get a little comfortable with this, okay? We're at the 23-minute mark, and, I'm trying to expand, so on and so forth. So, hey, if we go over an hour, it's just what it is. But we're talking about the album, right? Dawn Robinson's album. I purchased this album when it first came out. As a matter of fact, it was a cassette that I purchased. It wasn't even a CD when I purchased the album. I have to say, when I first heard the song, Envious, I don't know about you. I can only speak on Pepe's point of view. I kind of shunned the title. It was the title for me that I shunned because I was like, envious? En Vogue? Envious? And I was saying to myself, like, as someone who's a member of the group, I mean, someone who loves the group, I'm a member of En Vogue, right? Yeah, right. Who loves the group, and to see the group kind of go in separate ways, and to see some of the remarks that a true fan and in voguer such as myself, to see the ladies go back and forth with each other, it was almost kind of like, I don't know, I would see my sisters feuding or some of my favorite female cousins feuding or my aunts feuding. You see what I'm saying? And so it was just very distasteful to me personally for that title. And I'm like, who's envious? Envious, in vogue. So it kind of turned me off, just the title a little bit. But that's okay because I still purchased the album. So, and I heard the song and I was like, okay, I like it. I did. I really liked it. And I still like the song Envious a lot. And then I listened to the album. I didn't care too much for the album at the time. And I'm going to tell you, this is where, and I said this about Terry's album, and I'm going to say the same thing about Dawn's album. And maybe you guys are going to agree with me or disagree with me. But I was saying to myself, isn't it just real kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? That's a lot of pressure to be a part of this supergroup, to have all the success of this supergroup, and then to go in and do it individually. Whether or not if your intentions are to be a part of the group or not be a part of the group. You see, and oh my gosh, I don't believe I'm saying this. This is not where I was thinking I was going, but if this is where I'm going to go, this is where I'm going to go. And when that happens, to me, I would like to think, wait a minute, hold on. I don't care who I worked with. I'm just going to say, let's say I'm an invoker, like I'm a member of Invoke. I would probably go, I don't care who I worked with. You know, like Tommy and Denny, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter. I know they gave me my hits. My hits. I'm talking about me as an invoker, and I'm no longer in the Invoke camp. I have to. It's imperative. It's a must. I'm talking about my head, that I have to do this thing bigger than Invoke. I just have to. It's kind of like that Bobby Brown effect. You understand what I'm saying? Because, you know, Bobby Brown said, I wasn't speaking to the guys of the New Edition until I got my hit records. He said that. You know, he was like, I'm not, forget them. I'm not talking to them. I don't want to associate with them. Nothing. I just need to come on in here, come in and do the thing, make it hit, make it hard. Then I'll talk to you later. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because he had a point to prove. Good or bad. I'm just saying, and so in my head, I'm saying to myself, like, was there anyone in Dawn's camp besides Dawn that was probably thinking that I have to do this bigger than Invoke? That's where I'm going with it. Because initially it was kind of like, okay. And you have to think about it at the times too. Think about the times. You're talking about the album was released, in 2001? So if the album was released in 2001, I'm talking about in my head. This is just my head, not anybody else. It's just my head. I would like to think that, you know, with the things that were happening in the music industry, as far as how things was changing, how record sales started to slump, so on and so forth, that you would think that, you know, you will definitely try to hook up with a record company, management, so on and so forth, who could really and truly make your record, you know, a success. And I understand at the time that, you know, the record company eventually folded due to, according to Dawn in her interviews that she's done, there was some money mismanagement going on with, you know, the person or the persons over the record company that she was, you know, signed to. But that's neither here nor there. So who knows? The record could have been a bigger record at the time. But my thing is, again, I'm thinking to myself, like, what could have possibly be the disconnect that did not make this album a success? Because if we look at it right now, let's look at these individuals. All right. Now, who you're looking at right now, some of the people you're looking at right now is you're looking at what is the guy's name? Well, we have Elise Simmons, the young lady at the bottom right-hand corner. She had a couple of hits in the late 1980s. She is part of that Hush Productions with Melba Moore and her then husband at the time. She's a part of that. And she had some success, but she's had, I guess, greater success as a singer and songwriter. So she worked with Dawn on this album. As a matter of fact, she wrote the song called Set It Off. And she co-wrote that song with, what's his name? I'm sorry, you guys. I feel like now this is when I'm kind of feeling like, wow, I'm all over the place. But she co-wrote that song with All Star. Now, All Star is the guy right above me. He's at the top left-hand corner, and that looks like Kenny Lattimore he's in the studio with. So he is the guy who produced that single, Set It Off, okay? No, sorry. There's Potts at the top. I'm sorry, you guys. Why am I feel like I'm all over the place? Hold on, you guys. Let me get these people right. So this guy at the top right here, that's Potts, right? Yeah, right here. Hold on. Yeah, this is Potts with Kenny Lattimore. This is All Star right here. Then the guys above Elise Simmons, that would be, what is his name? What are those guys' name over there? They called themselves at the time Pajam, I think, but it's James Moss and Paul Allen. I was thinking, I knew it was James Moss and Paul Allen. I knew that, but I was trying to think of, is it Pajam? So they worked with her on the album as well. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking about All Star, who had hit songs with SWV, so on and so forth. So it looked like she had the people to pull this off, right? It looks like she did. But it's always that first impression, don't you think? Or, I'm also talking about, the makings of an R&B diva over here as well. So now we're talking about the making of an R&B diva as the making of a solo R&B diva, Dawn Robinson. Because Tommy and Denny made En Vogue, right? They put the group together. They studied girl groups. They figured everything out as to how they wanted their girl group to be. They saw what worked, what didn't work. So that's the making of an R&B diva. But now with Dawn, the making of a solo R&B diva. So it looks as if she had it. She had the people who could really make it work for her. As far as the producers and everything is concerned. So what do you think happened? Well, I'm not quite sure what happened, so to speak. The reason why the album didn't hit initially, other than for me, I would like to think, En Vogue, envious. Maybe she's kind of dissing the girls a little bit. You guys could be possibly envious of me, or other people are envious. It's what it is. I'm not saying she's saying that. I'm definitely not. That's just how I was perceiving it at the time. Quickly went out and purchased the album, and then I listened to it, as I said, and I was like, which goes back to an initial point that I was trying to make, and that is because I'm listening to Dawn, and I'm saying, but I want to hear En Vogue. Oh, we're going somewhere. I want to hear En Vogue. That's a great point for me to now talk to you guys about this album. All right, let me put on my sunglasses again because this might get a little shady, but I don't mean for it to get shady. Let me put my sunglasses on. Put them on. This is when the section of the show when I go into the album review. All right, now we have to do the album review, okay? And the album review, oh my gosh. Do I want to read what some people said about this album? Do I want to do that? Do I want to go into the album review part of this section? Like other people's album reviews? Let's try. Let's see what was said about the album. A bouncy a bouncy, feel-good R&B affair that oozes with attitude, street savvy, and rich urban flavor. She found that funkified arrangement with tasty acoustic and electric guitar stylings and dance floor appeal, combined with Robinson's sassy, soul-inspired vocals, make this a winning solo effort. Fashionable mix of neo soul, gooey R&B balladry, and trendy hip hop, as too prepackaged and trend conscious to reach the heights of her previous collaborations. Too prepackaged and trend conscious. While the album confirms that Robinson was indeed En Vogue's most distinct voice, Dawn seems jailed within the confines of current R&B trends. People magazine commented that while the album won't make anyone forget En Vogue, Robinson's pipes up with a gratifying, if not groundbreaking, set of contemporary R&B, although her sassy, sturdy vocals lift even the more banal ballads. Robinson really shines. I think I pronounced that word even wrong. At its most simmering, the long in the work solo debut from the former En Vogue and Lucy Pearl diva incorporates the best of both acts. The R&B effortlessly shoots with simmering beats and the occasional raw guitar. And Robinson's stance is more aggressive. Was surprised by the uptempo material on the album and wrote that the collection gives Robinson the platform to make the kind of records she always wanted to make. That's what they said. Now listen to what I'm saying. Set it off. I remember hearing someone saying before I was commenting, I think it was in the En Vogue craze. Someone commented, I think I posted about this album, and someone commented that Set It Off was their favorite song on the album. I was like, huh? So I went back and listened to it again, and I have to agree. Set It Off is probably the song they should have led with, not Envious. But in my head, I'm thinking again that, it could have been, let's do this one so we can get a little mileage out of it, maybe to see if people think that you're dissing the ladies of En Vogue and saying, okay, hey, you guys are envious of me. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just going to stay with it. I don't believe that she thinks that. But, if you follow Dawn and if you listen to anything that Dawn has to say, Dawn is not someone who's going to hold back anything. So I'm just saying this is not what she's saying. But again, Dawn is someone who would tell you what she thinks, so it's just what it is on that end. All right. But then I listened to the next song, Still. I was like, wait a minute. This song Still reminds me of Right Direction. It does. On En Vogue's EV3 album, listen to it. It reminds me of Right Direction, and it also reminds me of Lucy Pearl's Don't Mess With My Man. Listen to it. Go back and listen to Still. It reminds me of that. Now, with the song Party, nice background vocals, but I was definitely not interested in the song at all. Not Party. I wasn't. But then I get up to the song Get Back Up Again, and I love the message. The title along, I'm like, yes, that's right, Dawn. Get back up. Just get back up again. Having background vocals on this album would have been great. But what we get from her on this song is that we get her singing the lead and the background vocals, but they didn't work. Or the background vocals should have been stacked. It's something about the background vocals on this album, this particular song, Get Back Up Again, that just didn't work well for me in my ears. I don't know if it was supposed to be like an acoustic sound or what have you, but towards the end, the song picks up. And it feels like it's becoming a better song. So Get Back Up Again, I'm not totally digging the song from a vocal standpoint, but towards the end, I'm like, yes, it starts to give me what it is that I'm looking for out of a song. And of course, we have song 5, which is Envious. It's, to me, it's a funk song. I can see it being, like I said, her first song to be released. But I think, as I said before, on the low, dissing the ladies of En Vogue. Now, Meaning of a Woman. Oh my gosh. Meaning of a Woman. It's a great song. It's a great sound. It makes me think of Salt and Pepper and En Vogue's What a Man. It also makes me think of the theme song, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, for some reason. She's definitely the funky diva of the group. And she's definitely the missing link. So when I hear the song Meaning of a Woman on Dawn Robinson's album, that makes me say Dawn is definitely the missing link in En Vogue. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this as I begin to wrap this up. And then you have the next song, I Don't Know Why. Listening to this song makes me think of the song Waiting on You from the Born to Sing album. Check it out. If you've never heard this song, I Don't Know Why, listen to I Don't Know Why, and then listen to Waiting on You. And I'm like, oh, okay. I get that feel. Okay. It works for me. Then Fed Up. Fed Up gives me that Destiny's Child, I'm a survivor. I just realized something. Maybe that's the reason why they said this album is trendy. Because it seemed like this album is trending. I can see that now. I see why they was probably say that. So maybe we're right on the same point with those other reviewers. And the way I'm saying it is, I'm saying it differently, but it's still kind of trendy. I can go with that. Okay. How Long? How Long sounds like a song that Brandy or the group, I think the group at the time that was out was called 3LW. How Long makes me think of a song that Brandy and the 3LW would sing. It would. And then the last song, You Would Never. It's an up-tempo song that I like on the album a lot. Now I'm going to say this. Baby, when I heard this album again, now I'm going to have to get a little closer. Okay, I'm about to say something. Hold on. About to say something. When I heard this album this time around, y'all ready? Okay. Mac's album or her singles and Terry album, out of all of those who have released solo records right now, see, I don't want to say this. And I'm going to say this because, see, I don't want people to take this the wrong way. I don't want y'all to take this. And see, there's somebody in the group, or who's not in the group, probably would take it and go like, see, I told you. I don't want nobody to get the big head. I don't want anybody. I love the ladies of En Vogue. Y'all know how much I love these ladies a lot. So I don't want to cause any division by this comment. But out of all of those albums that have been released individually by the ladies of En Vogue, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to say it because it's just my point of view. Dawn Robinson's album, when you listen to it vocally, she sounds like En Vogue. Like those harmonies are definitely there. Now, I know you true En Voguers, and I'm talking about, like, see, I like the image En Vogue. I like who they are as ladies and their song, the image, you know, the persona, the you know, all of that. But there are some En Voguers out there who can say, wait a minute, Terry sings in third from here, bottom to that one, and all that. There are some En Voguers out there who do that. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can do it all you want to, and I'll have to sit back and listen. But if you listen to this album, her album, and I know, I don't think, unless you didn't credit anybody, but I don't think Terry, Cindy, or Maxine shows up on this album at all. And her vocals, to me, when I listen to it now, I'm like, these vocals are in vogue. It's almost like hearing her, you don't miss the in vogue sound at all. See, I don't want to go and say, because I know I've said in the past that I know now, I honestly can say that now with my ears. I can hear Maxine. Like when she is in that group, I know that's Maxine singing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I know that's her voice. I know it. But when I hear Dawn on this album, I'm saying all of this is in vogue. Now, I don't know. Being the geniuses that Tommy and Denny, they are, musically. I don't know how they intertwined these ladies' voices. And if they put one voice up higher than the other, I'm talking about like, volume. But Dawn, I'm going to have to say it, Dawn. Yeah. I'm going to have to say it. I need to know now the differences between Terry's voice and Dawn's voice. I can hear them individually, but I'm going to have to say now, oh God, really? I'm going to have to say now that I'm hearing Dawn's voice over all of the ladies. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does it make sense what I'm saying? So please tell me, because I really want to know. Like, I'm not joking. Somebody's going to have to really sit down and maybe like do a video for me. Really, I'm not joking. Like, do a video for me and show me where, okay, do you hear Dawn now? Okay, do you hear Cindy? Do you hear Terry? See, that's where I'm going. That's why I don't want people to get the big head, about what I'm saying. Like, oh, he's saying that Dawn is the in vogue sound. Not quite. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like, to me, if I'm explaining it the way I explained it and it making sense in my head, listening to Dawn's album intentionally, Dawn's voice has to be the top voice, right? And Max is the bottom. And Terry and Cindy, they're in the middle. So if Terry and Cindy is in the middle, we don't really hear them that much. Is that safe to say? Y'all tell me. Right? Is it safe to say? Interesting. Well, overall, in general, it's a wonderful, great album. I do. I don't know why. Is it that with Dawn Robinson, as I said before, having all of the heavy hitters that she had on the album, and she had them. She had them. She definitely had them. These guys, I'm going to bring them back up again. These were some people at the time who really could have Potts. What's his name? Trevon. I'm saying that right. Trevon Potts, who had songs with monikers such as Angel of Mine and All Star, who had hit songs with SWV and you have what's those guy's name again? I'm sorry. Paul Allen and James Moss, at the time, very popular producers at the time. So she had it. But what happened? What happened, to make her lose steam with this album? I have no idea, other than I'm going to say it was maybe the record company at the time. Maybe the record company, as soon as they put the record out, maybe the money mismanagement thing happened. So we just never really could get the album up and running to see what Dawn could have done. Yeah. I don't know. Our video. Who knew? Who knew? Well, anyway, on that note, you already know, if you made it this far, what I'm about to say. I want you to remember to put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I look forward to seeing you next video. And if you made it this far, I think it's okay for me to say subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, the share button, all of that stuff. Do it. All right. And until then, I look forward to seeing you next video, and take care of yourselves. All right. Talk to you later.